Good morning, everybody. It is the 14th of May, 2021, and I just wanted to give a quick little devotional thoughts and also just a shout out to everyone for making it in May. Uh, if you are trying to schedule anything, good luck. Right now, it is just pure chaos between everything with schools ending stuff and sports. Just a busy time. So you can make it, get to June, do your thing this summer. All right. So this morning, in my daily reading, I had 1 Samuel 15 come across, and it's interesting reading through the book of 1 Samuel while preaching through a gospel, just because one of the painfully obvious parts of the Gospels is the demonstration of Jesus being the rightful king of the world, but not just that, the true embodiment of what Israel should have been. So Jesus was the fulfillment of the promises and the covenants and the expectation of Israel. So his faithfulness was even more than just he was a faithful person. Like he in his life, as whenever he walked this world, he fulfilled so much more. And so then back in 1 Samuel 15, we have Saul. And Saul's time as king actually started off really well. He was one of the prophets. He was prophesying. You see in chapter 14, he actually had a relationship with God where he could ask of God and be told that. And what is so awkward is that once he started walking away from the Lord, or once he started thinking his own ways, saw that the Lord was not communicating with him as the Lord previously had. And one of those areas was in chapter 14, where he set arbitrary rules of holiness. So no one's allowed to eat any food until we win this battle. That actually hurt his people, and eventually made it that he had made a vow to the Lord that he couldn't keep, because he said he would have to kill his own son. Which, interestingly enough, I believe that speaks more into a biblical principle of why make vows in the first place, so that your yes be yes and your no be no. Try not to speak beyond the present moment. You can't control more than a present moment, and also don't try to manipulate the Lord through fasts. The purpose of a fasting is not to make the Lord do what you want, but it's to strip away the things that you might have in your life that are numbing you to the awareness of the Lord's presence. So chapter 15, Saul is supposed to have a complete annihilation of the Amalekites, and there's a long history of the Amalekites. I'm not going to go into there, between the Israelites at this point and their Exodus story. But we have it that he said, I'm only going to kill the weak animals, but I'm going to keep all the good stuff. And he actually decides, the Lord had commanded something. He said, actually, God, I think I know better. Like, let's keep all these animals and let's use them for a sort of, hey, let's sacrifice these things later, or let's use them for breeding purposes. And it turns out that's not what God had wanted. And Samuel, in response, said, so Saul says to Samuel, but I did obey the Lord. I went on a mission that the Lord had assigned me. I completely destroyed the Amalekites and brought back Agag the kings. The soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, in order to sacrifice them to the Lord our God. So he shifts blame. And Samuel says, does the Lord delight in burnt sacrifices and offerings as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the Lord. So obviously, books and dissertations can be written on it, and I just want to just like lay out a simple statement that whenever you're trying to discern the will of the Lord in your life, He says love your neighbor. He says love others. He says walk humbly. Don't try to grandize or don't try to make your excuses or your exceptions as to why you're not obeying the Lord. Don't think, well, I can do this and it's going to make so much impact. I just have to sacrifice a little bit of character. No, that's not what it's about. So, for rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance is like the evil of idolatry. Whenever we think we know better than the Lord, it's not a good thing. The life of Saul is a tragic example of recalculating and recalibrating what the Lord has said and trying to say, well, what about, or maybe this, or in little ways. And instead, we need to follow the example of Christ, who said, not my will, but yours be done. And Christ was the ultimate fulfillment, and if we are followers of Him, we are given His righteousness, and we are called to live out His life in this world, now as followers of Christ, and then also we are promised the blessing of the Holy Spirit. John 15 says that we should remain in Him, and that He blesses those who are remaining in Him, and who love Him, and who keep His commands. So there's a sharp contrast between the king who fell and Jesus, who was and is to come, and who is the great I am. So let's follow the example of Jesus whenever we know that in our weakness we desire to be like Saul. Have a blessed day.